The Toronto Blue Jays made a great signing yesterday. And no, it's not a groundbreaking move. It's not going to make them World Series favorites, but it's pretty damn cool. And it helps out the team a ton, so we'll break that down on this episode of 3 Up, 3 Down, as well as what's next to come for this Blue Jays team. They've had a sneaky good offseason. Now, nothing major. They've had a couple of headlining moves, but nothing really that jumps out at you if you're not a Blue Jay fan, but I think they've done pretty well. And a couple of these things that happen next could make them go from a B minus all the way to an A plus. So I'll break that down and much more on this episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. Welcome in everybody to 3 Up, 3 Down. I'm your host Peter Vrionis, and a fun episode is on the way today because I'm super excited to talk about Max Scherzer. I didn't have my initial reaction on that trade or on that signing, sorry. So I'm just going to lay it all out there for you guys today. Right-hander Max Scherzer and the Toronto Blue Jays are in agreement on a 1-year, $15.5 million contract, which is slightly more than Justin Verlander, may I add. The Blue Jays have been interested in Scherzer for weeks now, and the deal for him to join the rotation is done. First on the news was John Heyman. Jeff Passan was the first one to report the money, which is why I'm showing him on there. But before we break it all down, I forgot, just make sure to hit that subscribe button because we're close to 3K, so shout out to you guys. But let's get into the video here. And I mean, Max Scherzer, no, he's not prime Max Scherzer. I know he's going to turn 41 in July, but I don't care about all of that. If you are a Blue Jay fan and if you're not excited about this, let me try to get you excited about this, okay? So in his last full healthy season, which was 2023, just 2 years ago, he threw 152 innings. He had an ERA about 3.5, and even though he was injured last year, he only made 9 starts. I still think he's got some left in the tank, and that's going to be very valuable for the Toronto Blue Jays that are trying to get back to the playoffs after missing it last year. So, no, it's not a 30-year-old Max Scherzer coming aboard on a 1-year deal. Let's get that out of the way right now. But what it is, it's one of the most intense pitchers, one of the best playoff performers that I have ever seen in my life. And when it's all said and done, he's going to be a Hall of Famer the minute that he's able to be on the ballot. So he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, might even be a unanimous Hall of Famer depending on who you ask. So is it the flashiest signing? No. But the Blue Jays are about to have a first ballot Hall of Famer pitch games for them, start games for them. And that is super exciting. And I think this is a great fit. Now you might be going into this wondering, how is it going to work out? Is he going to be able to stay healthy? And those are all valid concerns. I understand the concerns that Blue Jay fans have here. I totally get it. But he's surrounded by a bunch of innings eaters. Kevin Gausman, Jose Barrios, Chris Bassett, all of those guys have the potential to throw 200 innings for you in a season. Now, they won't all get to that landmark, but they'll be close, and they don't really miss starts. So the Blue Jays have been able to stay healthy in their rotation. Knock on wood, of course. So let's hope that continues, and that trend continues to be a thing in 2025. But Max Scherzer, insulated in this rotation, I think it's going to be an absolute steal of a deal. So they've been pursuing him for a while now, and they finally got the deal done. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to watch Max Scherzer make his first start at the Rogers Center. I think it's going to be electric, and I guarantee you we're going to see a lot of Max Scherzer jerseys at the Rogers Center. He's that kind of polarizing player and so intense. He's going to be a fan favorite right away. Now let's just take a look at this. He only made 9 starts last season, and staying healthy will obviously be a huge factor in his 2025 value. But if Scherzer is anything like he was in 23, where he was a 2-win pitcher, getting him at 15.5 will be a fantastic piece of business, and I unequivocally agree with Thomas Hall right there. So check him out. Check him out on X if you haven't already. Great Blue Jays coverage and just a solid follow if you're looking to stay in tune with everything Blue Jays. But I'm excited for this, man. There's no other way to put it now. The question is, what's next? Because we've been hearing about Pete Alonso longer than we have been hearing about Max Scherzer, and we know that there's a very well documented relationship between the two of those guys, between Scherzer and Alonso, of course. They're good friends. And maybe this is the piece that helps sway Pete Alonso to Toronto. He's been mulling back and forth between the Los Angeles Angels, the Toronto Blue Jays, the New York Mets. I think he wants to go back to the New York Mets, but the money is not necessarily where it needs to be, at least in Pete Alonso's point of view. So there's some work to be done, and there's still a few more bridges to go over if you're the New York Mets and Steve Cohen, which is why I think the Blue Jays now put themselves in the pole position for Pete Alonso. Now, this is something that I wanted to get to. Right now, the offseason is a B plus, the Blue Jays offseason. And I tend to go more B minus, but B plus is fair. If they get Pete Alonso, it's an A. I agree with that. And if you re-sign Vlad, which is something that Hector Gomez, who's very in tune with a lot of the Latin players in Major League Baseball, has been hinting at, then it is an A plus. And absolutely, Frank Amarante. I mean, it's a B plus right now. It's been a quietly good offseason for the Toronto Blue Jays. It started off sort of as nightmare fuel with Juan Soto kind of using them as leverage. We thought that there was maybe a chance that they could get that deal done. Roki Sasaki, we all know what happened there. The Blue Jays traded for Miles Straw and international bonus pool money, and that ended up not working out. So there were some things that went wrong for the Blue Jays, but it was not for a lack of trying. They were in on every high-profile free agent, and it was exciting. I mean, you never want to be the bridesmaid, you want to be the bride, but the Blue Jays ended up being the bride here towards the latter stages of the offseason, and they got Anthony Santander, they got Jeff Hoffman, now Max Scherzer, Jimmy Garcia. I mean, things really moved in a positive direction. Andres Jimenez, I think that deal works out so much better, especially if you get Pete Alonso, because that defense is just going to really do great things with Andres Jimenez manning the middle of the diamond. So has it been an A plus offseason? Not yet, but I really feel like it has the potential to get there for the Toronto Blue Jays, and this was just a stroke of genius from Ross Atkins, and it's exactly what they needed. They needed a kind of stopgap option in the rotation. They have a lot of young guys ready to come up next year. They have Alek Manoah, who's going to make his way back in late August, maybe early September. So he won't be much of a factor this year, but he will be in 2026. Trey is Savage, a top 100 prospect. Ricky Tiedemann going to be out for this season with Tommy John. You could ease him back in 2026. And Jake Bloss, the headliner of the Yusei Kikuchi deal last deadline with the Houston Astros. I mean, there's some options there that the Blue Jays could definitely turn to. But let me know in the comments down below, what would you grade the Toronto Blue Jays offseason? For me personally, I'm going to go with a B, but it definitely has potential to get into the A's if they get these pieces of business done here. Pete Alonso and re-sign Vladimir Guerrero Jr., which they are working on. They're definitely working on that. So shout out to you guys for making it this far, and shout out to the Blue Jays for turning their offseason around after what was a pretty rough start to it. I'll see you all next week.